morning. Nice to see you all here. This is awesome. Well, welcome. As you know, my name is Kim Ware, and I'm your instructor for COM 115 at Bryan. This morning, we are going to talk about my top interviewing tips, as well as review the next few assignments that you have due so you can finish this class well. So let's get started by first just going over those assignments. So I am going to share my screen with you. Has anyone been able to take a look at the assignments that are coming up? Some of you have already finished assignment 4, but has anyone had a chance to look at assignment 4, 5, or the reflection? Yes, no, maybe?
I haven't.
Okay, thank you. Briefly, I see Doug said briefly.
No.
Okay, good to know. Okay, awesome. So I'm actually kind of glad that you haven't, because I get to give you your first introduction to these. So what might seem scary with assignment 5 may not be so scary after I get done talking to you about it. Thanks, Ashley. Ashley's finished assignment 4, so she may be able to give some information too. Assignment 4 is fun because we are transitioning from talking about some workplace stuff to really looking at friendship and the way that we do that throughout our lives, particularly friendship in the workplace as well. And if you've been on Yellow Dig, you see we've been talking a lot about friendship, how relationships end, and how we know that they're ending and the phases of ending. And that's what assignment 4 really focuses on, is just on friendship. We're looking at friendship in some different seasons of life and how we do relationship maintenance behaviors. So let me pull this up. If you're looking at my screen right now, you can see that I have our homepage pulled up.
When we start reading, we'll knock that out edge and someone will blow.
So when you first open assignment number 4, right here in this very first box are your instructions. Each answer, there's 3, needs to be at least 100 words. You need to use specific examples, and you need to provide specific concepts with those examples. So here you'll see your assignment 4 study guide. You can use the same group of concepts for every single question. I challenge you to pick a different concept for each question. So the first question, you're involved in the same hobby as a college friend, using cultural similarities and differences. What would you do to maintain that relationship? Second question, now we're at work in a professional setting, and we're looking at a same sex person, however that person and you define it. How are you going to maintain that relationship? And then the third question is what might trip most people up. If you're living in Arizona, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There are these snowbirding communities where people who are 65 or older, they are in community groups, whether that's playing bingo or doing some sort of volunteer work or knitting or whatever. I don't know. That's what they're doing in this generation. By the time we all get there, nobody is really knitting or playing bingo as much anymore. So I don't know, maybe we'll have a TikTok challenge. I have no idea what that will look like, but think about yourself in that season of life. How will you
absolutely don't know if you'll be knitting at 65. I just want to say
that. No, I don't know. I do know how to crochet. So, I mean, maybe I'll pick it back up. We'll see. So any questions about assignment 4? I'm going to take that as a no.
No.
Awesome. Now let's go down to assignment 5. Assignment 5, you are going to want to start this as soon as you complete assignment 4, because it is your largest assignment that you have for this class. It will take more time. Okay, so this is an interpersonal communication interview and analysis. So we're talking about interviewing to this morning from the perspective of you being the one who's being interviewed. But this assignment, you're actually doing the interviewing. So you get to practice asking questions. The idea is that you're going to interview someone about their family relationships, and you're going to interview someone in a workplace about their workplace relationships. The questions are basically the same. so that you in the second part will be able to compare and contrast, see the differences in communication firsthand between family relationships and workplace relationships. So sometimes people say, well, I mean, I don't have any family that I can ask these questions to. That's okay. My solution is you can either ask someone who does have a family about their family, or you can like take it from the perspective of a favorite TV show or a favorite movie. So once upon a time, we all loved to watch the show Friends or The Office, and you could pick one of those characters and ask them about their family relationships in your head. So I hope that helps anyone who is feeling frustrated with not knowing anybody. And then if you like have one friend, go ahead and for the sake of time, you can ask them the interviewing questions from the perspective of a family member, and then you can ask it from the perspective of the workplace. I'm very, very flexible. The idea is just asking the questions and getting answers somehow. So you can see the questions here. They're all in a quiz format. You will be writing down the answers, okay? Then you get to do comparison and contrasting. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Oh, hang on a second. Da, 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 da. Okay, so this is here in question 21 and on for a few. Compare and contrast your family and coworkers regarding cohesion. So what did the family person say about cohesion in their family? And what does the workplace person say about cohesion? And what differences or similarities do you notice? So then moving on, as you get to part 3 of the assignment, you're going to do analysis where you're going to select the family member or the coworker and give them communication advice. So this is your opportunity to really show off everything that you've learned in this course so far. What advice would you give them to improve their interpersonal communication? Use at least one concept about listening. What can they do with listening to improve? What about conflict management? What can they do with conflict management? Would it be getting better at compromising? Would it be trying to use collaboration? And then one concept about relational maintenance. So this is a 300-word response. If you think that they're doing everything perfectly, which I kind of doubt that they are, but if that's the perspective that you have, use this as a time rather than giving advice to encourage them to keep doing the things that they're already doing. What's really key is showing me conceptual understanding and the ability to apply those concepts. Okay, so that's assignment 5. Any questions there?
No.
No? Okay, good. Now your final assignment, which I don't really need to show you, is a reflection assignment. It's just reflecting on the course so far and everything that you've done here. It's very short. It's very easy. Try to keep it under 3 minutes, please, and you'll get your full 40 points. So you have still 75 plus 125 plus 40 points to earn in this course. So if you're struggling a little bit with your grade, this is the perfect opportunity to bring it up. Remember, keep resubmitting for mastery because you can do that at Bryan. You can get an A in this course. You can get an A in all of your courses. So do it, okay? All right. Any other questions before I start talking about interviewing? Nope. Okay, cool. So here's what I want to do first. I would like everyone to type a word or two in the chat about your first thoughts on interviewing. So put in the chat what your first thoughts are about interviewing. Are you scared? Do you love it? Do you hate it? I know one of the things I think about all the time is, what am I going to wear? So let me know. Awkward. Nervous, terrifying, where some people feel comfortable with the process, doesn't bother you. Okay, good. I know for me, I think I feel a little bit of everything when I'm interviewing. I understand that it's a reciprocal process, that I'm interviewing that person as much as they're interviewing me. But at the same time, you have to bring your best self to the table, and you have to know what you've actually accomplished to make it possible for you to interview well. So that's what I'm going to walk through with you over the next few minutes to get us into a place where we can go to an interview and feel prepared for what it is that we're doing. But first, I have a video that I want to share with you of one guy interviewing, and we're going to use that as a springboard to decide what's okay and what's not okay when it comes to interviewing. So let me get this pulled up. One moment. Where is it? Awkward silence. That's never good. Unless you don't mind the silence.
I can
I
turn
know you can hear
anyone
it, but you can't see it. And now I'm going to make it so you can see it.
into a beach bum.
Ah! Everybody see it? Yes.
Yes.
John?
Sorry, I'm late. Are you Susan? I'm here for the job interview.
I'm Susan Thompson, Resource Manager. You're 10 minutes late.
The traffic was terrible.
Have a seat. Are you John Hill?
Yeah,
Okay, tell me about yourself.
my main hobbies are watching classical movies, riding my motorcycle, and I have 2 granddaughters. They're so cute. Let me show you.
Oh, that's okay. I'll take your word for it. Do you have a resume?
I turned it in with my application.
Okay. All right, it says here.
Look, I found them. Aren't they adorable? And wait, there's my dog. Isn't that cute?
Very cute. It says here that you only had your last job for a couple of months. Can you tell me why it was so short?
You know, I hated that place. My supervisor was such a jerk. All he did was complain about my work.
Oh, what was the problem?
Oh, they had all these rules. I followed the most important ones the best I could, but he would get mad if I didn't follow all the rules all the time. Ugh.
I see. Well, can you tell me why you want to work here?
Oh yeah, somebody told me you guys have a really good dental policy. I've got trouble with this tooth right here. It needs a lot of work.
Okay, I think I've heard enough. Do you have any questions for me?
You know, what does this place do?
Well, we have a restaurant and we make frozen desserts that are shipped all across the country.
Cool.
Well, it's been nice meeting you.
Well, now when will I know if I get the job?
We'll make phone calls tomorrow.
Okay, see you later.
See ya.
Okay. So what do you think? Is he just going to get this job or what?
That was cringeworthy.
It was not very good, was it? What are the things that made it not great? You can type it in the chat or you can just tell me. Terrifying to watch.
He was late and his coding was not appropriate.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he was late.
He didn't seem really interested in the job itself.
No, what was he interested in?
Dental plan.
Dental plan, completely unprofessional. He was late. Terrifying to watch. Yeah, he didn't do very good. So let's learn how to do not what he did. So I said this is the top 5 tips for interviewing, but really it's a whole lot more than just 5. So the first one we want to think about is selecting the employer. Is it a good idea to just apply for any job and every job? No,
No.
no, it's really not, because you might find yourself in a situation where you've wasted your time because you've tried to get a job that's really not a good fit for you, or you end up getting the job and then you just don't like it, and it's no fun. So before you even decide to apply, make sure you understand who the employer is. So before the application, first of all, you need to understand yourself. So it's a lot like what we did when we first started this course. We started by understanding ourselves, our communication habits, dominant communication styles, our relationship in our life, to understand who we are, what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are. Then researching the position. Well, they can give you a job ad, but is that really what's required of the job? So you might look at their job ad and then try to figure out, is this a generic description of this job, or is this really well aligned with that business? And you'll understand that because you are going to also research the employer. If you're applying for a job, I don't know, tell me some of the titles that you might be applying for. Can you type those in the chat? What are some titles for jobs you might be applying for? Personal trainer, fitness professional, personal trainer. Anything else? What about paralegal? What would that look like in a job ad, or HIM? Bookkeeper, good. Okay, so if I saw that title and that's what I was searching for a job, property manager. Okay, let's go with property manager. So if I saw that title, I would want to have some idea of what most positions are that are advertising for that. So I might look at the position I'm thinking about applying for, and then I type in property manager just in general. What are the things I should be looking for? What are the expectations of being a property manager? If you're researching an employer, go look at their Google reviews, look at their ads, see if you can find someone who actually works there. Hey, what is it like to work for this place? And the reason you want to know that is because you want to know sort of what their style is, what their culture is. If I'm going to be a personal trainer in Hollywood, that's probably going to look a lot different than being a personal trainer in like Galveston, Texas, right? Very different cultures, very different mindset. Or what about a large company versus a small company? So make sure you go ahead and give yourself the dignity of carefully selecting the employer. Now, if you're desperate for a job, I understand that. Of course, you should go for the job so that you can make a living and pay for your life. But if you have some flexibility, make sure that it's a good fit for you. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in just a minute. It also really helps you in the interviewing process because you're showing that you're acquainted with what they do and you're not going in blind. So when you do your interviews, if you look up types of interviews, okay, you're going to see all different types of interviews, but really they boil down to these 3 kinds of interviews: the behavioral interview, the technical interview, and the social interview. So, has anyone done any of these kinds of interviews? You can type that in the chat too, or you can just tell me. Have you done any of these kinds of interviews?
I can say that LA Fitness, I live in Southern California.
Okay.
I recently got hired on. I got hired on about 2 months ago. When I got hired on, it was as a personal trainer. It was extremely difficult to try and talk to these Joes about fitness and, hey, man, you want a personal trainer, blah, blah, blah.
What's
They're
wrong?
like, no, dude, I'm good. But later on, like now, I'm hired on now. Not only am I a personal trainer,
We
but
got
I'm
one.
also the hiring manager for the company.
Okay.
But I feel like, that promotion that came in 2 months was based off of, the way you talk to people, the way you vibe with people, you have something to offer, you're passionate, but you're not over passionate to where you're trying to force feed somebody something when they're not hungry.
Right. Good. Thanks for sharing. And that passion does it does come into play, but not being overly emotional or passionate. So let's talk about then the differences between these interviews, and you'll see overlap as you're doing it in real life. The behavioral interview is the meet and greet with other people. It's, hi, my name is Kim. I'm applying for this position. I'm so pleased to meet you. And they're sizing you up and you're sizing them up, and they're just seeing if you have the general behaviors to actually do the job and fit in well with the company. From there on, depending on the nature of your employment, you may have a technical interview where we're going to say, okay, we like the way that you handle yourself. You seem like you know what you're doing, but let's test you and see if you actually do. So I'm in the fitness industry. I'm guessing this might come in the form of actually teaching a class or training someone. Is that appropriate, Justin, or anyone else who's in the fitness industry? For a technical
Definitely, yes,
interview?
ma'am. I do have a slight question real fast.
Sure.
This week, starting tomorrow, I have a total of 6 interviews coming up. Obviously, I'll ask the person I'm interviewing if it's okay if I record it. Is it okay to record? Like,
Yes, you just
a
need to
real
let them
interview?
know. Yeah, you need to let them know that you're recording and make sure they're okay with that.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I actually have a technical interview on Friday.
Okay. And what is this position?
It's a personal training position in a semi-private setting
Okay.
for a local company, it's like a CrossFit gym, but they also do like a non-CrossFit style with just personal trainers. So
Okay.
he wants me to teach in that capacity to see how
Okay.
I do it.
Okay. Good job. Yeah. Way to go, you guys.
Well, I haven't done it yet.
But you're going to do it. And
That's right.
remember, every interview is a good interview because
That's
it
right.
gives you practice. And so that's awesome.
Has anybody
Technical,
else? I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Has anybody else who has ever done like an interview, like a real interview for actual job position? Does anybody else ever feel like awkward? Is it
Always.
weird to feel awkward to interview somebody? Because when I do interviews, I feel extremely like, I don't know, like I feel awkward. I feel like they're looking at me, like they're staring at me, and I'm like, wait, do I got a booger on my face or something? Like, it's so
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, and it can be awkward to be the interviewer. I think that is because you might perceive yourself as being in a position of power, and and you are, because you get to give them a livelihood, right? And so they're hanging on your every word because they want the job. You have something and they want it. So it's more about power, I think, than anything else.
I hate that feeling, just to make it known. I hate it.
Well, good. And you can use that to ease some of the primary tension, right? Like, I'm just as nervous as you are, or I realize I'm in this position, but at one time I was in your seat and I was interviewing too. And this is a great company to work for. You should want to work for here because I was able to climb the ladder, and maybe you can too. Right?
I always make a joke. Like, I'll be like, so why do you want the job? And they'll give me their reasoning why they want to work here. And I'm like, oh, you mean you don't want the job because you need to eat?
Right. So just getting back to the technical interview, if you are a programmer or if you're in health information, you may have to show your knowledge of codes or interviewing. Paralegal, bookkeeping, maybe they would give you a test scenario to flesh out some books or write a brief, like, here's the case, here's what we're working on, how would you do this? So that's the technical interview, just to see if you actually know what you say you know. Finally comes the social interview. So depending on the type of company that you're applying for, the position that you're applying for, the social interview is maybe like, it's asking, do you play nice with others? Do you really fit in here? Can you get along? I interviewed one time and got through the behavioral, the technical, and then they're like, okay, let's have a barbecue and have you and your family come over to hang out. So it's like, oh my goodness, like, this is getting real now. Our families are going to get along. Let's see how this goes. But always keep in mind, you're interviewing them just as much as they are interviewing you, because this is a relationship. These are people that you are going to end up working with and you're going to end up seeing every day. So there's a power dynamic that's functioning here where you both have some of it. So now before the interview, we've talked about selecting the employer and how you're going to do the interview. But before you actually get there, okay, it's on the books. You're having an interview on Friday at 3 p.m. You need to be prepared with show and tell. So like going back to kindergarten, when you prepared a book or a stuffy or a game, or, you got to bring your pet, which I remember a kid doing. And one time I was 5 and I pulled out the parrot's tail. And I felt so bad, but I never fessed up to it. But I'm fessing up to you all now. So it's out there and I'm good. Back to the main point. What have you done that makes it worthwhile for you to get this job? If you don't have any actual working experience in the industry, you're going to draw on your classroom experience. I worked on this report. I had this capstone project, and this has prepared me to do this job because of X, Y, and Z. Make sure that you're highlighting the buzzwords in the job ad. What is it that they really want you to do? Use those words back to the employer, because they're listening and that's going to make sense to them because they wrote it and now they're hearing it come from your mouth. Make sense? Okay, good. So now we have a little more on preparation. What about dressing the part? This is what frustrates me the most sometimes, is just figuring out how to dress, because different companies have different styles on how to dress. So what about this dude here? Did he dress appropriately? You can type it or say it.
No.
No. And how do we know that he didn't dress appropriately?
I
Well, he
understand
might-
he did dress appropriately.
You think he did?
I think he did. Like, I feel like when you go to an interview, like mentally, you're already mind screwing yourself. So why not go like comfortable?
Okay, I see your point. So he is comfortable, but
Depending on the job.
right. So yes, be comfortable. You don't want to be wearing anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, because then you're going to be focusing more on the way your clothes feel than actually being able to listen. But we know that he dressed inappropriately for this position because of the way his interviewer was dressed. If he had done his due diligence, he would know that he should have dressed like relaxed business casual. If he was on his motorcycle, he could have easily taken off his leather jacket and brought a sport coat along with him and transitioned into a sport coat. That one change would make him look more presentable for this position. So when in doubt, dress relaxed business casual. If you're going to an attorney's office, you need to bump it up a little bit to more business casual, business formal. And then sometimes the interviewer will know that you may have dressed to the nines, but that's not really how they dress. And they'll tell you, oh yeah, if you get a job here, khaki shorts and a polo shirt is just fine. We would never want you to come in a suit and tie every day to be a programmer. So I'm curious about other industries. What have you noticed as the dress code in the jobs or the fields that you're applying to?
Yoga pants.
I know, since most of us probably on this meeting are, striving to be personal trainers and work in a gym or work for something along those lines. I feel like, we work out, so we kind of know like our good looking areas. I feel like you would want to like kind of put more emphasis on that. Like, oh God, damn, you got like big traps. Those are pretty good. Or like, oh damn, your arms are swole. You know, it's something that kind of
Oh, that's good.
gets like attraction.
Yeah. Yeah. So you want to dress in a way that fits your body well. And we're going to capitalize in a second on the idea that you're sized up within about 7 seconds. That's how long a first impression is. So you're going to want to dress the part, whatever that is for your company. And I'm sure all of us know this, but make sure if you're wearing fitness clothes, they're not threadbare, right? Like we don't want to be showing anything that ought not be showing. Make sure that, we have our hair done, that we've brushed our teeth and all those things to make it possible for us to feel good. I like how Ashley wrote Dress for Success, because you're going to feel good if you dress well according to your industry. And I'm not talking about spending a ton of money. I'm talking about just feeling like you're put together in order to do the interview. Now, you probably are like, what is 30 minutes and 10 minutes? Why is that on the slide? So it's a 30-10 rule. You want to be in the vicinity of the interview location within 30 minutes. This will help you avoid any traffic accidents that might come up, or any construction you weren't planning on, or, oh man, my gas tank is at a quarter tank and I have to get down the road 45 minutes for this interview. That would give you time to get gasoline. Maybe not the money in today's climate, hello, but the time. So, and then 10 minutes, be walking into the foyer, the entryway, 10 minutes before your interview starts. We kind of underestimate the pull that the front desk staff has on employment. But those front desk people, just like we saw Dominic and Abril and Associates, they know everything. And they know kind of what's going on. They have the pulse on the company. They talk to all the people who are already working there. So you want to be able to get in and smile and say hi to the people who are working the front desk, if there is one, and just be there. It also gives you time to breathe. If you start feeling nervous, breathe. The other thing about getting there 30 minutes early is it helps you just have time to sit in your car too and just breathe, gather your notes, get in there, be able to use the restroom if you need to use one. Any questions about that? No? Okay, good. Okay, let's talk for just a second about virtual interviews. You're probably going to have one of these at some point in your life. Some of the things I'm going to say are going to go without saying. But the telephone, if you have to have a telephone interview, I recommend that you get in a quiet place and that you're able to put the phone on speakerphone, that you have a really good connection. The speakerphone is helpful because if you need to take notes, then you can do that without having to hold and write notes with one hand. Also, we like to use our bodies when we talk. If you're on a speakerphone, you still have the freedom to speak and talk and use your hands and your head the way that you want to, which will help you sound more conversational on the telephone. Now, video digital, this is also going to happen to you, where you're going to have to do like a Zoom interview or something, and that's probably where the recording thing might come in. Is clear every screen off unless you're demoing something, so that you don't want anything popping up or anything weird, like a YouTube video deciding to randomly play when you're trying to have this conversation. That's just going to fluster you. Second, dress all the way. I know in this day and age, it's like, haha, really funny. I can wear a nice looking shirt on the top and totally be in pajama pants on the bottom, but you're not going to feel good. You're not going to feel put together. So for the interview, go ahead and dress. If you want to get crazy, put on your shoes. And then you can take them all off when you're all done with the interview. But be there and be ready to do the video just as if you were in person. Another thing about the video digital is that you need to have a filter or have a clear wall behind you. So right now I just have on a filter so everything is blurred. The funny thing about this though is that if I reach too far, like my hand gets fuzzy. So I think that's kind of weird. I think it might actually be better to just have a blank wall behind you because you want them focused on you, not what's going on behind you. Palm trees are fun. A library scene is fun. I don't think it's appropriate for an interview. Don't do that. Just make sure there's a blank slate behind you. You want their focus on you and nothing else. Also, like you don't want to be distracted looking at the awesome rainbow behind you, okay? And then I see a question that's come through. Yeah, Ashley, never a dumb question to ask how to dress. And it also helps you start to build rapport with your colleagues and the people ahead of you if you ask them, so how's everybody going to be dressing for this occasion? What do other people do so that I can be prepared? It shows initiative. It really does. It's a good question. So any questions about telephone or digital stuff? Nope. Okay. First impressions we talked about, you get sized up within 7 seconds. So offer a handshake. In our COVID moment, sometimes you may feel like handshakes aren't appropriate, right? So you can ask, like, are you comfortable with a handshake? What if they give their hand to you and you're not comfortable with a handshake? Yeah, you can pound it. I also have two sort of thoughts on this as I've been out in the world and visiting with a lot of people. If you are the one who's not comfortable with a handshake, I think it's acceptable in this day and age, especially with what everyone has been through, to be like, actually, would you mind if we just did a fist pump? Or I'm not shaking hands with people right now. Hashtag COVID, make a joke of it, make light of it.
My main job, I work for a group home.
Yeah.
It's a STRTP, so it's for youths who didn't fit into the juvenile side as far as juvenile retention goes, but not good enough for a foster home. And since COVID started, I've had COVID 12 times.
Oh, wow.
Insane. And I think most of it came from like the interviews. Like,
right.
Oh, let me put your hand. And then.
Well, thank goodness you have a strong immune system. That's good. And I do too. Personally, for me, if someone offers their hand to me, I'm going to shake it because that's who I am. And then I've got hand sanitizer in my purse. I'll make sure not to touch my face or my mouth, which you really shouldn't be doing anyway in an interview. And just wash my hands afterwards. Take an emergency beforehand or whatever health nuts are doing these days for their immune systems. So eye contact, maintain eye contact. Don't make it weird. Don't stare into their soul. Use appropriate behavior. So it's okay to look away here and now and then, but do try to make eye contact. If you look down, you're going to project that you are not confident and that you're insecure. So it's sort of a fake it till you make it. Keep smiling. Okay, so this is really important. If you get into the interview and you realize immediately that you do not want this job, act like you do. Make it through the interview. Be kind to the interviewer. Keep asking questions. Just say, no, I don't really have any questions. Like, I don't want this job. Don't do that. Be there and be present and work for that job, even if you know you don't want it, because you don't know who that person knows. These worlds that we are living in are interconnected in complex and fascinating ways. People know people that you don't know. So maybe you don't want the job that that person is offering, but you might want the job that this other person is offering who happens to be good friends and play golf with this person in this company. So always, always, always keep smiling and keep being present. Keep your poise. That's why the breath is so important. If you're sitting down, ladies, I think it's good to cross your legs at the ankle, and men, or to have your feet just flat on the ground if you can. Crossing the knee over the legs makes it too easy to roll your ankles or to flip or whatever. If you happen to be a person who is fidgety with your hands, find a place to put them. Or, you can sit at the table and you can interlock your fingers at the table. Don't be doing a lot of hair moving because it just all gets distracting. really focus on being present and using natural movements. And if you need practice interviewing, I'm here. I'll give you an interview and tell you what you did well and what you didn't so that you can work on it. We also have an amazing academic tutoring staff here at Bryan, or contact your program chair. Hey, I have an interview coming up. Can you help me? And let the people who are surrounding you help you out. During the interview, I've already talked about keep smiling, be positive, but not like this guy. We don't need to be showing pictures of our dog here, okay? Maybe they'll ask you to demo something you can pull out your phone. I kind of doubt that's going to happen. Keep smiling, be positive. And then I'm rounding out to the end of this presentation, but when you respond to questions, you can give yourself a moment to think by, just like when we're writing, restating the question that they asked you. I'm so glad that you asked me about XYZ because, and then have that show and tell example ready to give. Even if you don't have questions, ask questions. Yes, Justin.
I know I've been extremely talkative today. I'm in an extremely
it.
good mood, so that's why I'm being so talkative. But just for anybody else online, Carnival cruise ship, the cruise thingy, they are hiring for a personal trainer on ship.
Fun.
I was hired for the job, but I just bought a house, so I couldn't do it. But they are looking for personal trainers who can work 7 days a week but you have to be on the ship 7 days a week for, it's either 6 or 9 weeks. But they are hiring. If anybody's interested, go ahead and put in the chat or whatever, and I can give you the contact information for the hiring manager.
Okay, cool. That's great. See, networking right here. That's awesome. At the end of the interview, make sure that you establish next steps. This has been an awesome interview. I've enjoyed getting to know you so much. Where does it go from here? When can I expect to hear from you? Make sure that you are getting that out there so you don't leave thinking, well, I think the interview, well, I hope I hear from them, but I don't know that I will. So establish those next steps. When you leave, send a thank you. If you're in close proximity, you could drop a paper thank you off with the front desk staff, or you could send an email. Don't text, send an email and keep it relatively professional because you haven't gotten the job yet. Thank you so much for having me. It's also a great way to reiterate what you like about the company, why you think you'll be a good fit, and why you are enthusiastic to continue to pursue the position. Now, let's say that you don't want the job. I would still send a thank you note, thanking them for your time and that you look forward to hearing from them. I would still not cut those strings just yet, especially if you're kind of in a reactionary kind of phase. Let some time pass and see if they even offer you the job. Maybe things aren't exactly the way you think they're going to be. Any questions about the post interview? No? Okay. So that is my sort of interviewing 101. I know that it's nerve-wracking. Just remember that every interview is a good interview, whether it feels that way or not, because it's good to practice and put yourself out there. That's all I got. I'll hang out for a few minutes if anyone has any additional questions, but otherwise you're free to go. And I just can't tell you how much it means to me that you took some time out of your day to be present for this class, which is not technically required. It's always good to see your faces and hear your voices. So have a great day, and I will see you on the other side of Canvas.
I'm going to stick around, Professor Kim, just to pick your brain a little bit.
Okay, sounds good.